The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We're proudly presented by the Belly Up Media Network. My name is Ron McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts. To my right is a man who I don't know his opinion about hot dogs being a sandwich, but he knows they're delicious. Dustin Henry. Dustin, how are we doing tonight?
They are delicious. I love hot dogs. I would like to grill up some hot dogs very shortly, but I've heard about these round hot dogs. They're basically like burgers, but they're hot dogs, and you put them on a bun. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. All I know is I've got to stop eating so fast before the show. It causes all sorts of problems, but I'm doing well tonight. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, I got to the gym tonight, got a little sweat, no regrets. Hashtag all sweat, no regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets. I'm ready to talk some sports. We've had some exciting things coming down the pike over the past couple days, and one of them I talked about yesterday on Snowman in the Morning and during the Coffee with McCarthy segment. And there's been more since I talked about it. But first, we got to tell you about where you can find us on social media: Twitter, Instagram, and the irregularly used TikTok. For how long, I don't know. At NoCredsREQ, youtube.com/NoCredsREQ, youtube.com/@NoCredsREQ. If you're watching on Rumble, we appreciate you watching on the replay, Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Eastern. If you're listening on 502 American Angel Radio, we welcome you. Again, we played on Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Eastern. And I didn't mention this to Dustin because I wanted to save it as a surprise. We're going to be on Wise El Jefe's radio station, Real Wise Radio, very soon. So we have the option of doing either a live stream or a replay. So we're negotiations with him about it. But in the meantime, why don't you go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of our social media networks right down here below, and the other ones I've mentioned. On the podcast side, you want to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Good Pods, iHeart, TuneIn, wherever you podcast. Rate and review. Please have a 5-star rating. That would be awesome. And if you're on a platform where you can review, leave us a review. We might even read it on the air. And ratings and reviews get this podcast out to the world. So we need all the ratings and the reviews that we can get. And since we are a live show, we want you to engage with us during the live show Tuesdays at 8:05 a.m. Eastern, and some Saturdays at 10:05 a.m. Eastern. Engage with the show. We want your comments, and I know, Dustin, you've been waiting to hear that beautiful, beautiful bean sound.
Oh, I have. All week.
All week. Let's go. All right. So tonight we're going to start with a topic that we touched on last week. Oh, there goes Dustin's.
There we go.
Dustin's camera went whoop.
Yeah. Because I was like, my quality. I mean, not that we all need to see my face up closer, but I was like, my quality's not looking up to snuff. And it turns out it was my default laptop webcam. That's why I switched it to the Logitech now. Now I'm in HD now.
Ooh, HD. Look at that.
We're live.
We are live. We're going to start off with a topic that we kind of touched on last week. And again, I touched on yesterday on the Snowman in the Morning. And again, we've had some developments over the last 24 hours since I talked about it yesterday. That is the Arena Football League. And there have been some rumblings the last 24 hours. And I need to give credit where credit is due. There were some rumblings last night. There was a rumor going around that the commissioner of the Arena Football League well, now former commissioner of the Arena Football League, has been replaced by the one, the only, Mr. 8-8, Jeff Fisher. Yes, that Jeff Fisher, one-time coach of the Tennessee Titans, one-time coach of the Los Angeles Rams, is now the interim commissioner of the Arena Football League. And here's the quote from G6 Sports Group, which owns the AFL. And I've got a brand new element for this, so give me a second here. Oh, here we go. Quote. That's right. Today, the Arena Football League, AFL, announced Jeff Fisher, current president of football operations for the Nashville Cats, will serve as the interim commissioner of the league. This decision was made by unanimous vote of the current team ownership groups in alignment with G6 Sports Investment Group, LLC, the owners of the AFL, and its intellectual property. Fisher, former NFL head coach for the Titans and Rams, stated, quote, months ago, when I decided to return to the Nashville Cats and the Arena Football League to the Music City, I did so because of my affection for Nashville and wanting to give back to the community that has been a blessing to me and my family over the years. We are now 3 weeks into the season. The league needs help, and I agreed to help the league. I'm honored the owners collectively have confidence in me to lead them, close quote. Moving forward, the AFL will retain a 10-team league consisting of the Albany Firebirds, Billings Outlaws, Nashville Cats, Orlando Predators, Rapid City Marshals, Salina Liberty, Southwest Kansas Storm, Washington Wolfpack, West Texas Desert Hawks, and the Wichita Regulators. The league ownership group and league office will also be speaking with other teams not mentioned to discuss and perhaps include them in current games/seasons. The Arena Football League has shared the next few weeks of revised game schedules and is expected to release a revised full season schedule in the upcoming days. Chris Chetty, managing member, G6 Sports Group, Middletown, Delaware. Close quote. All right, Dustin. You know, yesterday on Snowman in the Morning, I was asking, where in the world is Lee Hutton III?
Yes.
Well, apparently he has been deposed.
Yes, he has been summarily dismissed into the sunset.
Yes, he has been yeeted into the sun, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I remember last episode we asked for, some action out of Commissioner Hutton, something to get the league under control. And I said, isn't it the commissioner's job to, make sure the league is running smoothly and reach out to these teams and try to see if they can figure out some of the problems that they've been having, figure out solutions. And I did catch your Snowman in the Morning appearance on replay, and you just asked where he was. You were asking, where in the world is Lee Hutton? And no, he did not look as smashing as Carmen Sandiego in that uniform, that trench coat and hat, I'm sure. But I will say this for Mr. 8-8, Mr. 500 himself. He has already done more in that short statement as commissioner than Lee Hutton did in his tenure. He has told you how many teams are going to be in the league moving forward. He has also mentioned that they are in talks with some of the teams that have left, which the list is bigger than I thought. And he also said that they are releasing a revised schedule and working to get everything under control. So far be it for me to say this, but I have a little faith in Jeff Fisher, and I think partially it's because former Commissioner Hutton set the bar so low. But
yeah,
Jeff Fisher, I will say, he's got an NFL background. Maybe this is a step towards the NFL Network actually broadcasting some of the games, which would be fantastic. And we'll have to see how Commissioner Fisher does now. That has a certain ring to it. Just don't coach my NFL team, Jeff Fisher.
Yeah, it's crazy because here's what's been happening since we talked about the league on last Wednesday. We've had three more teams dip out, said we're done. we're done. We're closing up shop this year. The Philadelphia Soul said we're closing up shop this year. The Georgia Force folded, and they couldn't afford to send their players home, so they had to go on. Had to start a GoFundMe to get their players home, which is sad and ridiculous. And before that, the Iowa Rampage had closed up shop.
Now, was that the owner that was kind of going back and forth with the former commissioner? Was that the Iowa Rampage team? Or was that,
that was the Billings Outlaws.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because I remember thinking, he's living up to their name.
But then over the weekend, the Albany Firebirds sent out a press release saying that their game that was supposed to take place yesterday between them and the Minnesota Myth had been canceled because the Minnesota Myth could not make it. Well, later that afternoon, after I talked about where Lee Hutton was, the Minnesota Myth folded.
Oh no.
And here is the statement by the team owner, also known as Mrs. Lee Hutton.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot his wife owned one of the teams.
Yes. And here it is. I'm sorry, Diana Hutton. Let me go ahead and open up this quote. Dear Minnesota Myth fans, the promise of bringing another professional team to Minnesota was bright and filled with hope. The vision of the Minnesota Myth was to build a team focused on community engagement and bringing people together to celebrate not only football, but also connection and community. Unfortunately, the effort was lost in the waves of negative chatter and misinformation that plagued social media, led by intentional efforts from non-supportive teams within the league and other individuals. Consequently, Minnesota Myth has ceased operations and all future Myth games scheduled at Target Center are now canceled. Refunds are available at the point of purchase and will be automatically processed by AXS. I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to my staff as well as to all the players, dancers, sponsors, and fans who supported the team even amidst this turmoil. It was truly an absolute pleasure working with each and every one of you. Diana Hutton. Close quote. Meanwhile, there's no mention of paying the players.
Yeah.
The players hadn't been, from what I understand, the players had not been paid. The head coach quit because allegedly he hadn't been paid. Neither was his special teams coach or his offensive coordinator, so they're kind of left scrambling. And the fact that they mentioned in the statement that this is now a 10-team league, there's 10 teams in the league.
Yeah.
They started with 16.
Yeah.
To begin the season. 4 of them dropped out after the first 3 weeks. There was no mention of 2 teams in there. I believe it was the the Oregon Black Bears. I'm trying to remember the other one. The Louisiana Voodoo. That's who it was. The Louisiana Voodoo. They were not mentioned in this statement by the Arena Football League. So which means we believe that those 2 teams are on the outs. Even though Oregon they started the season pretty strong.
Yeah, they were another one of the teams that got off to a strong start. But the Firebirds, I might be a little biased, class of the league so far. I'll tell you that.
You know what? What's interesting is that we talked. Actually, it's funny you mentioned the Firebirds because they had to reschedule a couple of games. So they had a game scheduled on Sunday with the Philadelphia Soul. They're gone for at least this season, and they had a game scheduled with the Minnesota Myth on Friday the 20th. Actually, it was supposed to be Saturday the 25th. They got moved to the 24th because the Firewolves asked the Firebirds to switch games because if the NLL Cup goes to Game 3, Game 1 is this Friday, Game 2 is Saturday, Game 3 would be on ESPN2. So they wanted to have the arena available for ESPN2 to broadcast their game.
Yeah.
So they moved that game to the 24th, and they were supposed to play the Minnesota Myth. Now they're going to play the West Texas Desert Hawks, who are also undefeated. That's going to be a great game. So all this scrambling it's been leaving the Arena Football League kind of in the dust. There seems to be a lot of broken promises, a lot of poor commitments.
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe the 4 teams that were that were in the league. I don't know if they're going to come back. I know the Philadelphia Soul has said they're going to come back in the 2025 season. I don't know about Iowa or Minnesota or Georgia, whether they're coming back or they're just done. Period. So, whew, a lot going on.
Yeah, that's a lot. And I do, again, I have to credit Jeff Fisher, because like I said, I think that partially the bar has been set so low, but I do, in that statement, and also cutting it off at 10 teams, because like you said, he could have said it was 12 teams, because those other two teams, the Louisiana Voodoo and the Oregon Black Bears, they were not mentioned in the statement. But I think he had to stop the bleeding. This was kind of like stopping the bleeding and capping it at a certain number. And maybe that has something to do with the finances, or maybe he knows something about the state of those other two unmentioned teams. So he's going with the 10 teams that are stable. But I think the key point in that statement is he said, we are in talks with other teams to possibly return to games, for future games. And he didn't, if I remember in the statement, they did not put like a timetable on it. Because to me, one of the first priorities would be getting the Soul back, because they're a team that the casual fan will remember. They had that cachet from the former ownership group, the people that were involved there, Jaws and John Bon Jovi. As a result, everyone remembers. Well, I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people remember the Soul. So, and Philadelphia is a good market, good sports market. So you got to get them back into the fold, I think. And then if you can restore the broadcasting deal with the NFL, if that happens, that will also help. But I think they're off to a good start. They're doing the best they could. The damage has been done in some regard, and you got to do damage control now. So hats off to Jeff Fisher, even though he once said that Jared Goff could possibly be a third string quarterback in the league. And then the coach that replaced him took him to a Super Bowl. And now we see what Jared Goff has done in Detroit, and he just signed an extension. So,
which we'll talk about momentarily.
In spite of that, Jeff Fisher, I think you've done a good job in bringing some much needed stability to the AFL. We didn't want it to have to cease before it even really got started. So I'm happy that he stepped in and he said, hey, look, I'm going to take this over now. And it seems like he actually cares. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. It definitely looks like he cares, that he wants to. I mean, yeah, he got in initially for Nashville. He was part owner of that team. He was named team president. And I think there's a lot of power behind that name. It's like, it's Jeff Fisher, Mr. 8-8, blah, 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 blah. It's going to be a mediocre league, this and that. And it's like, no. Jeff Fisher, if anything, he's got the name. He'll be a stabilizing force for that league. He's doing football things. He knows football. The guy knows football.
He does.
Regardless of how we joke about his records of Mr. 8-8. But
yes,
the thing is, nobody knew who Lee Hutton III was before this league started. And now his name is going to get smeared for being an absentee commissioner.
Yeah. His silence was deafening.
His silence was deafening. And the fact that he's not returning players' phone calls, he's not returning head coaches' calls about being tossed out of their hotel rooms the league is paying for. I mean, yeah, he did a good job of getting jerseys and helmets, great. But there's also the fact that when the season began, the league's throwing shade in regards to team owners and how they wanted team owners to be ready before the season began. But that's your job. You have some accountability too. And yes, the teams that should have been ready, but also at the same time, it's your responsibility to make sure that they are ready. It's like you can handle all the logistics between the uniforms and the scheduling and this and that, making sure that players have a place. But at the same time, you can't be silent. You can't be silent when the chips get down.
Yeah. Yeah. And it would have been one thing if he had come out and he would have caught some people would have got on him for this. People would have made fun of him, cracked jokes at his expense or whatever, but would have forgotten about it. If he came out and he basically said something to the effect of, hey, I didn't realize that the commissioner is more than just a title. I'm a little in over my head here. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm sorry, but I have to resign. He would have caught some flack for that. But we already would have moved on. He could have come out and said something, but he said nothing. So people are going to make a lot of assumptions based on his action, or in his case, his inaction.
Yep. And he's going to have that reputation forever for being an absentee commissioner and not getting in front of this problem before things began. You can't have 4 franchises in the span of 2 weeks say we're out. And I will give the credit where credit's due to the Iowa Rampage players for honoring their commitment and playing after the owner said we can't commit to this anymore. Why they couldn't commit to it anymore, I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason to it. They gave control to the hands of the league. But at the same time, it's like, guys, something's got to be done here. Something's got to be done. And I'm glad that Jeff Fisher has stepped up and said, yeah, I'm going to take the reins here. Let's get this figured out. Let's play the rest of the season. We'll move on to 2025. And here's the thing too. You don't want to be in an unstable league, especially in a league with instability, especially when you have 2 franchises coming in next season. You've got the Chicago's coming back. The Chicago Rush, they're coming back in 2025. And the Arizona Bandits are supposed to be playing in 2025. So you don't want instability in your first season, especially in the first 3 weeks of the season. And for this, that'll make those owners think twice before they commit to coming around and coming and playing in 2025. So yes, give credit where credit's due to the owners for saying we got to do something about this. Give credit to Jeff Fisher for stepping up and saying I'll handle this. Let's get this straightened out. And credit to the league and the investors in the league for saying, yeah, this is not great. We have a lot of egg in our face right now. We actually have 2 eggs in our face right now. 2 eggs in a black eye, 2 eggs in their face and a black eye. And we gotta figure this out. And we gotta move forward. So congratulations. So hopefully this is the beginning of good things. And I know where I'll be on Sunday afternoon. I'll be at the MVP Arena doing photography for the game between the Albany Firebirds and the Southwest Kansas Storm.
Awesome.
That's where I'll be.
Getting some good shots.
That's right. I still got to develop my photos from last Thursday's game. Just how far behind I am. But anyway, let's move on to the NFL. We got some schedule. There's some tricklings of the schedule before tomorrow night's release of the full schedule for the 2024 season. And that started last week when the NFL, I think it was probably NBC, announced that the Thursday night game to start the season, to kick off the season, will be Ravens at Chiefs on Thursday night, September 6th. It's an 8:30 p.m. start. And the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs will be hosting the Baltimore Ravens. And that'll be a good game. It's Thursday, September 5th.
Yeah.
Sorry, the 5th. That'll be happening. And then we knew what was happening on Friday the 6th, September 6th, when the NFL plays their first ever game in Sao Paulo, Brazil, as the Philadelphia Eagles will technically be the host team against the Green Bay Packers. So I got to see if Philly and Green Bay Packers fans will travel well to Brazil.
Oh, man.
And then yesterday, we found out that Michael Strahan and Fox had Tom Brady on for a little thing, and they announced that Tom Brady will make his broadcasting debut as the color commentary analyst for the first game of his career between the Dallas Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns. It's going to be a 4:25 p.m. start on Sunday, September the 8th. Now, I kind of want to get your point of view on this, Dustin. When you kind of heard, okay, Tom Brady's coming in.
Yeah.
Is it going to take a full year to get his – is that full year of just taking the year off and just saying, like I got to work on this, I got to figure this out? I wonder if this is going to be to his benefit or his detriment. What do you think?
I don't know. I think, well, you can't love him or hate him. No one can ever say that Tom Brady didn't work very hard to prepare for anything throughout his career. So this is probably, I think it's going to be ultimately to his benefit. However, I think if he tries to approach it too businesslike and kind of loses the organicness that you have to have, in my opinion, as an announcer, it'll come off as robotic or like he's reading off of a stat sheet, or that he's not trusting himself. Because I for one am very excited though to get some insights from, the person who many would argue is the greatest quarterback to ever lace him up. And we're going to see, because for one, a lot of people have a lot of opinions on Tony Romo as an announcer. And sometimes I will admit he gets overzealous. He doesn't always let Jim Nantz find space in the game. He doesn't allow the moment to breathe always. But when I hear him call a play and then that is what happens on the field, and he explains why, he said, oh, the safety's dropping down here, so they're switching to this package or whatever. That is fascinating. And I cannot wait until Tom Brady does that, because Tom Brady, look, Troy Aikman has his certain style of calling the game. We know what he and Joe Buck are going to be. They've been doing it together a long time now. I like the Manning cast. Most times that is the Monday Night Football broadcast I'll watch if it's on, because I like the banter between Peyton and Eli. But really, Peyton digs into it a little bit. Eli, not as much. But to see someone like Tom Brady try to break things down, I am very excited. But I'm just worried that if he tries to over-prepare, he's going to come off as, like I said, robotic or unorganic, which I think that's part of what makes Kevin Harlan such a great announcer, in my opinion. He calls the moment. His reactions are genuine. So I think that's an area where perhaps Tom Brady could struggle, because maybe it's from so many years of being in that quote-unquote Patriot way, you were expected to be emotionless. So it'll be funny to see how it translates into the booth. But I've gone long on this. I want to hear what you think.
Well, I kind of had the floor when we talked about the Arena Football League, so I wanted to give some time to you to break down this particular thing. I think the year off, not jumping in the booth immediately, is going to be beneficial, because he'll have time to, at least during, I say probably this particular off season and the last off season, because he's going to be in the booth with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin Burkhardt, we know, is outstanding play-by-play guy. Dude worked his way up from being a car salesman calling high school games, and now he is the A-game broadcast play-by-play guy for Fox, NFL for Fox. He's worked his way up, so he gets it. Like Tom Brady was a 6th round pick in 2001.
Yeah,
and moved his way. I'm sorry, it was 2001.
I think it was 2000, because then in 01 is when he first came in, because I think Bledsoe got injured in 01.
Yes, thank you. You're welcome. by the way. That was New York Jets linebacker Mo Kelly that almost basically ended Drew Bledsoe's not only career but also life because of he cracked his rib and had a collapsed lung. But I think they have similar personalities when it comes to preparation. Again, I mentioned Kevin Burkhardt worked his way up, and now he's the A guy. He's worked with Greg Olson for the last couple of seasons, and Greg Olson has a personality of his own. He knows how to break down plays, but he doesn't have his name doesn't have the sort of power that Tom Brady's does. And there was a reason why Fox threw the bag at Tom Brady, 10 years, $235 million to be their lead broadcaster for their A game. So I think 2 years to 2 off seasons to get things right, all right, this is how I'm going to break this down. Now, are we going to see the same type of enthusiasm that Tony Romo has? I don't think so. He's going to be Tom Brady's personality, and I think his mannerisms are a lot drier than they are Tony Romo's. Tony Romo is very enthusiastic and hands waving and this and that. And look at this play. Watch this. Tom Brady's going to be more methodical.
Yes.
And breaking down what happens after a play happens.
Yeah, I think he will give the moment time to breathe. Tony Romo reminds me, I've always kind of seen these two in parallels. Now that their playing careers, their respective playing careers are done, and they're both kind of transitioning into the media side of things. But if you're a Yankee fan, you remember Nick Swisher. Well, Nick Swisher has started to do some studio work and things, and I always felt like his enthusiasm, while infectious in a clubhouse setting, and he was a beloved teammate on the New York Yankees and his time with the Oakland A's as well. But I feel like sometimes he has that Tony Romo energy. He's very animated. He gets very excited about things. And I think sometimes in this venue, it's too much.
Yeah. And it's going to be a comparative difference. I think Tom Brady's going to be more like the Pat Summerall. Of color commentary. If we remember, I mean, Pat Summerall started as a color commentary guy.
Yep.
And they moved on to play-by-play after John Madden joined him in the booth. So I think he's going to be a little bit more dry, a little bit more toned down. I think which I think is going to be a welcome change. But again, he has that name. He carries that name, that star power to want people to tune in. And so I think it's going to be, I think the 2 years he's the 2 off seasons working on his game. Apparently he's been practicing on a tape recorder and listening back to what he's saying. So I can't imagine that the night before a game, he's going to be texting back and forth with Kevin Burkhardt about the game, like he used to do with his guys before games. Like he'd quiz them on different situations and what assignments they had. I don't know if he's going to do that with Kevin Burkhardt, but you never know. I mean, he could have that kind of same kind of mentality going into the booth.
And you never know why. I mean, obviously he wants to get those reps in because he wants to be great. People that are wired like Tom Brady, they want to be great at everything they do, not just one thing. But part of the reason that he might be practicing and getting some reps in, so to speak, is for a different reason. And I'm going to delve into my music background a little bit for this one. You sound different when your voice is recorded, and when you play it back, it can be a shock to yourself. You have to come to terms with it because we all sound different in our head. The way that we hear ourselves talk definitely sounds different than how other people hear you and how you hear yourself when you're played back. So it can be a bit of a shock. So maybe he didn't want to just roll into the booth and then hear himself coming back through his monitor headphones and be like, "Oh, what the heck is this?"
Yeah, I'm plugged into my microphone right now. I'm wearing different headphones because I've noticed that with my wireless headphones, my Bluetooth headphones, some sound gets cut off.
Yeah.
So I went hardwired tonight, like you have smartly done in the past. And I noticed a difference too. I can hear myself there's a monitor in the microphone, so I can hear myself. So yeah, definitely. When I go to edit, everything sounds different. And I learned that I learned how to listen. Like you mentioned, I learned how to listen to myself, especially with the job that I do and working in customer service for all these years.
Yeah.
You learn how your tone is. You learn what to say, learn what not to say. I hope that Tom Brady doesn't hold back. Yeah, I'm hoping Tom Brady doesn't hold back.
Yeah.
Tony Romo doesn't hold back. I'm hoping that Tom Brady doesn't hold back when he sees something that can be corrected on the field, or if he sees a play that somebody messed up and he can go, yeah, he messed up. This is what he should have done.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm most curious about. I can't wait when he says that, oh, he should have made this read. This person was open in the flat, but he didn't see him. That kind of thing. That's going to be it's one level when like you said, no offense to Greg Olson, former Seahawk for a little bit. But it's one thing when a tight end says that, but when a quarterback says that, it carries a little bit different weight. Similarly to when a great defensive player is talking defense on play-by-play, it's because, or color commentating rather, is because they've been there, so what they're saying. They're breaking it down. The tight end has been in the offensive room, but they haven't been in the quarterback room.
Right.
So it's a different animal.
Yeah, it's a different vibe for sure. And the news came over the wire this morning, around probably about mid-morning, I'd probably say 9-10 o'clock, that my New York Jets will be traveling to San Francisco on Monday night, on the season premiere of Monday Night Football, to take on the 49ers. And Dustin, I got to take this camera real quick because I got.
Oh yeah, take the one.
Dear Snowman, I heard what you said this morning. I heard what you said. You said that the Niners are going to maul, M-A-U-L, my New York Jets. And they're going to win by a score of 52-8. And that Aaron Rodgers would not last 3 plays, because he lasted only 4 plays last year. And we all saw what happened then. Sir, I'm insulted. I'm insulted that your team, not granted, your team has been better than mine the last 10 years. But I remember a time when the 49ers were absolute trash. Absolute trash. Dustin might remember. Remember when the 49ers were absolute trash, Dustin?
I do.
And they will go back to that way sometime. I don't know when. Probably when John Lynch decides to call it quits, or Kyle Shanahan's coaching game goes to hell. But, sir, the trash talk between you and I is going to be annoying over the next 4 months. I hope you're here for it. And I think you might be surprised of how the Jets are going to come out on Monday night again.
Oh, man. Well, I don't want to be like an instigator during this, but should you perhaps, put in an Invader coffee bag on the line?
You know what? I was thinking about that too. Put a friendly wager on some with some Invader coffee for 49ers and Jets. But I'll see if he accepts. So I don't know if he's watching right now. I don't think he is.
Yeah.
I think he was doing a live stream before we came on. But yeah, venture a wager. Yeah, Mr. Snowman. Over to you. Would you like to wager a bag of Invader coffee for our respective teams on Monday night? Winner, the loser sends the winner a bag of Invader coffee.
I think that's fair, and it brings extra stakes to the game.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that when I saw that announcement on social media about the Jets going to be on Monday night again, I immediately thought back to last year's situation. Yeah. And guess who's going to be on the opposite side of the field of the New York Jets from Aaron Rodgers? Leonard Floyd, the guy who sacked Aaron Rodgers and caused his Achilles tear. So, I mean, him and the field at MetLife Stadium, this is another story.
Yeah. So
when I saw that, I'm going, oh, why are we doing this again? Why? And I'm sending prayers. I'm like, God, dear 6-pound, 8-ounce baby Jesus, please let Aaron Rodgers last more than 4 plays this year. Amen. But that's going to be an interesting game. I think the Jets could be. I mean, if the Jets get off to a good start, I mean, this could be the good start that they need. I mean, they started 1-0 last year, but that was for a miracle upon miracle with the special teams play to end in a walk-off last year. But, Dustin, what do you think? I actually gotta step away for a second, but give me your thoughts about what you think about them, the 49ers and Jets starting off on Monday night.
Well, I will say that what makes me, first of all, the NFL knows what it's doing. Because just with the way that they're opening the season, that Thursday game, as it always is, it's between two titans of a teams. So let me say, obviously Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, that's a matchup that you are licking your chops if you're a NFL fan and you're thinking to yourself, oh, the season can't get here fast enough. Even though my favorite time of year is coming up, summer. We got plenty of baseball and other things to discuss, movie reviews coming up. So we don't want to rush into football, but this makes you excited for football. And I think this Jets and 49ers matchup, this one, what I'm most excited about it is, it's two teams. The 49ers have cachet because they've been a great team for a few years now. And they have Brock Purdy, who proved a lot of doubters incorrect last year. A lot of people said, hey, is he just a one-hit wonder? He proved last year that he was not. The 49ers were smart to go with him. But I am more excited because everybody's going to talk about the quarterbacks, especially Aaron Rodgers on the other side. There are going to be eyes watching this game because we all want to see how Aaron Rodgers looks, myself included. But to me, the highlight of these two teams respectively is their defense. I want to see the 49ers defense has been very good for a run of years now. They're tough to deal with. And I still can't believe that they got Chase Young from the Commanders last year. But the Jets, you can talk a lot about the problems that the New York Jets had over the past couple of seasons. And it wasn't with their defense. So I am extremely excited to see these two defenses lock it up. And also, I know people in other markets are going to say this. They get sick of it. But San Francisco, big market, even though the Niners don't technically play in San Francisco, they're pretty far from it, from what I understand.
Yeah,
down in Santa Clara.
And the Jets play New Jersey.
Yes, but also New York and San Francisco, those two teams, those two names carry weight. So not only it's a nice matchup to open the Monday night games. It's like a tasty burger, but I know the focus is going to be on the quarterbacks, especially one in particular. We're all going to wonder how he is, but the two defenses, to see them lock it up, that's the meat of the matchup for me.
Yeah, the defenses are going to be, I wouldn't say front and center because we all know that the return of Aaron Rodgers coming back from an Achilles tear is going to be the lead story. Although I think the lead story, I think Brees Hall, if the Jets offensive line can get their crap together and remain healthy, Chuck Douglas, and we'll talk about on Victory Monday. I think we'll probably have another one sometime after the schedule has been released, but Joe Douglas is putting the initiative to fix the offensive line. Brought in Tyron Smith, brought in John Simpson, drafted Olu Fashanu. Trying to remember who else he brought in to play right tackle. Oh, they traded for Morgan Moses, brought him back into the fold. You've got some added depth in that offensive line. They're going to be solid up front. But hopefully Tyron Smith doesn't have injury issues. Morgan Moses, he's in his 30s. John Simpson's a young guy. He can create a lot. I mean, hopefully he doesn't do a Laken Tomlinson. Sorry, Dustin. Pull Laken Tomlinson have a crappy time. But this is going to be a good matchup. I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think San Francisco 49ers fans are going to be in for a surprise on Monday Night Football on September 9th. I think they're in for a big surprise. This game is not going to be It's not gonna be a 52-8 stomping. Not gonna happen because the Jets defense is too good. The Jets defense is too good to allow 52 points. They got too much pride on that side of the ball to allow a 50 burger against a team like the 49ers. And granted, the 49ers offense is good too.
Mm-hmm.
But they never faced a team like the Jets last year. So I think 49ers fans, if the Jets walk away with a W, I'm not going to be shocked. 49ers fans will be shocked though. So, all right. Well, after that, Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime, Bills at Dolphins on September the 12th. That's the Prime Video debut season premiere. That
Get
should
a
be
first down line.
What's
I was telling Prime Video to get a first down line on their Prime Video broadcast.
I don't watch it often. I think Thursday Night Football is a joke, with the exception of Thanksgiving. You can't not have football on Thanksgiving. So yay, Prime Video, Thursday Night Football, good for them. Hip hip hooray! And then the last piece of NFL news we want to talk about before we go to our first and only commercial break: Jared Goff gets the bag. The bag. 4-year contract extension. Try to remember how much he's going to make in that time frame.
Oh, let's see here. Let's see.
4 years, $212 million. I think it's $138 million is guaranteed.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I know they were working on a contract extension. I just didn't think it was going to be that big.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think. I mean, this is big money for Jared Goff, but I mean, hey, he's proved it for a couple of years in Detroit now, and he was basically cast off. So I'm happy for him. I really am happy for him, but I think this is going to drive the quarterback market because Baker got money. Jared Goff is getting money, and I would argue, even though they had a great playoff matchup against each other, I would argue that Jared Goff is better than Baker Mayfield right now. So the next big contract that comes up for like a top 5 or 10 QB in the league,
it's going to be Brock Purdy.
Ooh,
Brock Purdy's going to get a hefty extension. He's in the 3rd year of his rookie deal, and this is usually the year that quarterbacks get paid after they've had the first good 2 seasons. This is usually the time that you get an extension. Now, I don't know what the cap situation of the 49ers is and how much of an extension they can provide to him, but they've thrown money towards Deebo Samuel, towards Christian McCaffrey, towards Joey Bosa for keeping them as their core. What's going to happen with Brock Purdy?
Yeah.
And like you said, Jared Goff just basically reset the market for quarterbacks. He's now the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, I believe.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, which is, I mean, it's unbelievable. It just seems like it keeps getting bigger and bigger each year. You're thinking, and it's not just at the quarterback position, but I remember when we said a couple of years ago that Christian Kirk reset the wide receiver market. I mean, the money is just getting.
Sorry, Jared Goff's number 2.
Okay, he's number 2.
Joe Burrow, $53 million. Joe Burrow's number 1 at $55 million.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. Gotcha. So Jared Goff's the 2nd highest paid quarterback in the NFL. So yeah, I mean, look, dude took them to an NFC title game last year. They were 1/2 away from going to the Super Bowl for the first time ever. And they returned much of the team, with the exception of one guy, who waved his shot goodbye after they went up 28 to 10 at halftime.
Yeah.
But they returned most of their team. They gave the right people the extensions during the offseason. They gave Penei Sewell a big extension. He's now the highest paid left tackle in football. Amon-Ra St. Brown is now the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. And now Jared Goff is the 2nd highest paid football quarterback in the NFL. They're rewarding the guys who have contributed to this team.
Yes.
And this is going to be a good team for a couple of years. And Dan Campbell is going to make damn sure that this team stays that way. And now they're rewarding the players that they needed to reward. And like you said, Jared Goff was a cast-off. Because he couldn't win in Los Angeles. And Sean McVay said, no, I can't win with this dude. We're going to have to get rid of you. We're going to bring in somebody who wants it more. And granted, to their credit, they did it with Matt Stafford. He wanted to win a Super Bowl, and he did it.
Yeah.
But you figure Jared Goff's just going to be just floating in the breeze, and he hasn't. I mean, he struggled. Granted, he struggled his first season. They got together in the second half of the year. Almost made the playoffs in 2022. In 2023, they win the NFC North. They win 2 playoff games for the first time in 30 years.
Yeah,
33 years. And they go to the NFC Championship, and they were one half away from going to the Super Bowl. So they're doing their due diligence and rewarding the guys that needed to be rewarded. And good for Jared Goff, because it's a great story. The guy was, like you said, he was a cast off, and now he's the second highest paid NFL quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we need to start rewriting the book on Jared Goff, because, like I said, I referenced it earlier in the show. Jared Goff did go to the Super Bowl with the Rams, but nobody gave him credit for that. They said that was all Sean McVay. They said that Sean McVay was giving him audibles into his headset and doing all sorts of these things. But now Jared Goff has proven that he can play the position better than most of us thought that he could. So you go to 2 NFC championship games, one of which you win and go to the Super Bowl. The other one, you're a half away. And you take your team to the playoffs the year prior for your first year in Detroit. That's 3 pretty good years of a quarterback. Mm-hmm. We might need to start viewing Jared Goff in a different light, and I think the Detroit Lions do.
Yeah. So I'm happy. I know friend of the show, Julie from Michigan, she's happy that the core players are staying where they are with the Lions. They're going to be staying there for a couple of years. And, if Jared Goff goes to the Super Bowl with this Lions group, I mean, they're going to build a statue to him if they win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm happy for the guy, considering all the crap he had to be put through and be sent out to Detroit, and he's proven everybody wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And this is evidence that he is. All right, so we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to go to your comments, and we're going to talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we're going to do an update for the Backstop Mendoza Line Challenge. I think I'm going to have to give Dustin some coffee soon. So we'll be back in just a moment. You are tuned in to No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at righteousfelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon jerky.
Hit the wrong button there for a second, but yes, Invader Coffee is usually our Saturday morning brunch sponsor, but tonight's sponsor, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. Listen, you've got your imposters for jerky out there. Certain beef stick named with the name James, like you want to snap into it. Their primary ingredient is shredded chicken, not beef, chicken. If you want your beef stick, if you want your craft jerky, your beef jerky, your turkey jerky, your biltong, your beef sticks, you want them to be 100% beef. Well, not the turkey jerky, but you want your beef jerky, your craft jerky to be 100% beef. And Righteous Felon gives you that supreme beef flavor every single time with every single 2-ounce package of craft jerky. Go to righteousfelon.com. Enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout. You save 15% off your order. And in addition to that, they give you free shipping for every order of $50 or more. I certainly need to get that. Hey, it's been helping me. Like this little high, it was a high protein, low sugar snack in the mid afternoon when I need that fuel to keep going for the rest of the workday. High protein, low sugar, healthy amount of calories to get you through that mid afternoon lull. This is the product for you. RighteousFelon.com. Promo code BELLYUP, 15% off. I gotta put an order for myself in pretty soon because I'm all out. I'm all out. I'm jonesing for that jerky, man. So so righteousfelon.com, promo code BELLYUP, 15% off your order and free shipping over $50. Let's go to the comments section. Jersey G joining us with a sports ball comment. Got to recognize Wise El Jefe for joining us on Facebook. He says, hello, gentlemen. So we got to acknowledge his presence.
We got to play the cue.
Got to do it.
The following is a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
Boston.
This has been a public service announcement from Wise El Jefe.
That's right. We acknowledge you.
Yeah, always.
We acknowledge you, Wise. We acknowledge you. Sapno with a sports ball comment. Jersey G, a game? Cool. Yep, I'm there. Nate Productions saying, hey, gentlemen, hope both of you are well. How about the California kid Goff getting paid the money he deserves? Yeah, we just talked about it. Joining in. So Nate, thanks for stopping by. Jersey G saying I have a different customer service voice than my regular talking voice. Yeah, I do too.
Yep. Yeah, I do too in certain situations.
Yeah, but the 49ers being a trash team at one point, Jersey G saying, I remember. She also says y'all should bet pork roll, Taylor ham, and guacamole. See, the thing is, Snowman's in Indiana by way of Chicago. So if we're really going to do food, it would be Taylor ham versus Chicago deep dish.
Oh, there we go.
I have to revise that bet now.
But that would be tougher to ship.
Well, certain places will ship it, like they'll freeze it. Like I know that was it Paisan's Pizza? They're on Gold Belly, they freeze their pizzas before they ship it out. Mm-hmm. I think they flash freeze them and then they ship them out. So I have a feeling that I'm feeling that Chicago pizza, deep dish pizza would do the same thing.
Get them like Pizzeria Uno.
I haven't been there. There's only one left that I know of, and it's in Crossgates. So I haven't been there in a while. I remember Pizzeria Uno being pretty good pizza, although it's kind of technically not pizza in my mind, but it's like a pizza lasagna.
All right, Ryan, I'll tell you a little plug for them. But the best pizza, Chicago style pizza I've ever had. I've never had the authentic stuff, but in this area, if you want good Chicago style pizza or any pizza really, I gotta get back there. Romo's in Glenmont, delicious. So we might have to swing over there, give it a shot again for me and for you the first time.
I think I've heard that place, but yeah, we'll definitely have to take a road trip during the summer to that pizza place. Jersey G saying New Jersey Jets fans, New Jersey. Exactly. Vicala. Checking in. Hola, espresso, my coffee. Yeah, hola to you. Jersey G saying righteous felon, jerky, hungry dancer approved. Yes, I remember her saying that she used the promo code to send a care package to her daughter who's at college. She's a dancer, and she got it and she loves it. So, yes, hungry dancer approved. Y saying love you guys. And Jersey G, again, Jersey people know something about pizza. Yeah. Deep dish is blasphemy.
I want to try. There's a bunch of different styles, though. I want to try New Haven style pizza. I didn't know that was a thing. Detroit style. I heard about.
I've never had Detroit style. I'm kind of curious about it. I think there's a place in New York City that sells Detroit style pizza. I'll have to check that out again. Maybe next time I go to Yankee Stadium, I'll have to swing by and try a slice or buy one of those boxes, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to kind of swing away from the norm for just a moment and talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs. And we're kind of wondering, is there a two-tiered disciplinary system? And I'll explain. What I mean by two-tiered is that there's one disciplinary system for the regular season, and there's one disciplinary system for the playoffs. Now, I know, Dustin, for you probably watched the highlight from Sunday night's game. Was it Sunday night's game between your Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks after the Canucks beat the Oilers, unfortunately, to take a 2-1 series lead. Then, as the clock hit 0 at Rogers Place in Edmonton, there was an incident between two Vancouver Canucks and your beloved Connor McDavid.
Yes.
Where a Canucks player cross-checks McDavid in the back, and then I can't remember his name, David Soucy from the Vancouver Canucks cross-checks McDavid in the face.
Yeah.
So then the clock hit 0. Now, Soucy, I believe, got a one-game suspension.
He did. He's suspended for game 4.
And then we had an incident on, I want to say, Friday night between Sam Bennett of the Florida Panthers and Brad Marchand of the Boston Bruins, where Sam Bennett was trying to get back to the bench and he encountered Marchand and it looked like he hit him high, but he got no punishment for it. And his explanation was, I was trying to get to the bench. I was trying not to hit him, but I caught him high. I didn't mean to do it. No punishment whatsoever. And the Boston media went apoplectic. And Bennett actually wound up scoring. I believe Bennett scored the game winner on Sunday during their game, which was a Florida Panthers comeback win. They're actually playing right now. And if Florida wins, they eliminate Boston. In consecutive season. And actually, Boston's up 2-1. They're just about to start the third period. So, Dustin, I kind of want to know, and I'll let you kind of wax poetic about the McDavid situation since you're an Edmonton Oilers fan. Do you think there's a two-tier disciplinary system when it comes to the NHL? One for the regular season and one for the playoffs?
I do. I think I agree with your. I think that there is. I think in the playoffs they don't want. The penalties are harsher because they don't want to lose players, particularly stars, for any of their series. But I will say, and I might surprise you as an Oilers fan, but I watched this clip a few times. And first off, let me just say, I am so fearful that the Oilers are not going to get out of the second round again. It's another year of Connor McDavid's prime where they don't advance. The Canucks, I knew it was going to be a tough series. I'm a little worried. I know there's still time, but as the clock continues to tick on Connor McDavid, I get worried each year because talent like that only comes along once in a while. And I think that's part of the reason, because I do not think that Soucy he wanted to cross-check him. There's no debating that. Mm-hmm. But the reason that Connor got cross-checked in the face is because the defenseman, whose name escapes me at the moment, checked McDavid in the back first. He cross-checked him in the back first, which caused McDavid – I feel like I'm breaking down the Zapruder film right now. McDavid went forward, and that's how Soucy caught him in the face. Soucy's paying the price. He's getting suspended. And I think he should be. I don't necessarily disagree with the suspension, but Connor was not innocent. Connor slashed Soucy. Connor slashed him in the foot that started this whole thing. You can see Connor take his stick and slash him. So It wasn't like Connor was sitting there doing nothing and he got nailed.
Right.
He did do something. I get emotions are running high, but yes, I think there's a two-tiered discipline system because they don't want to lose any players that are pivotal to a playoff series. And also, in my opinion, there's a lot of reasons to watch the Oilers, but The reason that a casual fan would watch the Oilers is because they want to see Connor McDavid out there. So I think that's anything that jeopardizes that, they're going to come down on him. And they're also going to come down on him because it's the playoffs. Now, it looked nasty, but like I said, it would have just been still a cross-check, but it wouldn't have looked as bad if the defenseman didn't cross-check Connor in the back first. And we can't forget, Connor slashed the guy. Connor slashed.
Yeah.
So
it was Nikita Zadorov who cross-checked McDavid in the back, and Carson Soucy, not David Soucy. It was another player. Yeah. Maybe there's another player named David Soucy that I'm thinking of, but Carson Soucy wound up cross-checking McDavid in the face, and he got a 1-game suspension.
He is the only one that got a suspension, if I remember. I think the defenseman was fined for the Canucks, but I don't think he was suspended at all. And you know, but I do agree. I think there's a 2-tiered disciplinary system, and I think it's because it's the time of year and also who it happened to, frankly. But I think leagues have always been like that. If you came at Gretzky back in the day, you were going to pay the price for it.
Yeah, I mean, part of it. I had to think that one playoff game. If you're suspended for one playoff game, that's the equivalent of 2 or 3 games in the regular season.
Yeah,
that's how valuable these games are. So, with Soucy being suspended for 1 game, Game 4 is tonight. Actually, it's going to happen. It's going to be. It's 9:12 right now. It's the 9:30 face-off. So it's about 15, 20 minutes before the face-off. I'll be interested to see. Is it an ESPN game or is it? It's an ESPN game, so I won't be able to watch. Darn it. I'll listen to it on the app. But it'll be interesting. I'm just interested to see how McDavid is going to come out in this game. Is it going to be? I've never known or seen. I've never known Connor McDavid to be timid. I know he's usually flying around at 100 miles an hour. Well, I mean, not 100 miles an hour, but
yeah.
He'll come out flying. And he'll want to score right away against the Canucks team that basically roughed him up after Game 3, and especially in front of an Edmonton crowd is going to be worried that, like you said, that of a team is going to be wasting arguably the best players in the planet's prime.
Yeah.
And I thought about this a couple of years ago with Connor McDavid. I'm surprised that he had not, after a couple of years ago when they were eliminated in the first round, that he has not demanded a trade. So yeah. I mean, that's 2021, because in 2022 they went to the Western Conference Final. They got swept by Colorado, and then last year they lost in 6 games in the Pacific Division Final against Vegas. But yeah, I think McDavid's going to respond. I think he scores a couple points tonight, and Game 5 will be tied up. I think they'll win, and we'll have a Game 5 at Vancouver, and Soucy will be back in the lineup. So, but they run into a hot goaltender right now. So, it's going to be. I think, I mean, there's definitely a 2-tiered system in terms of when an offense happens to a player. It's very much like the Jordan rules. Remember, back in the day. So big names get the calls for sure, but was the NHL right to suspend Carson Soucy for a game? Sure, because the equivalency effect, in my mind. But that remains to be seen. We'll see what happens in the and with tonight's game and how the Oilers respond. And let's be honest, they did not have their best game on Sunday night. When they faced the Canucks. So let's see how they respond. Let's see how the team responds. Let's see how McDavid responds tonight, and we'll see what happens in Game 4 and then subsequent game after that. By the way, I have a prayer circle going right now that the Rangers blow their 3-0 lead against Carolina. Sorry, Wise.
That's a surprising series for me. That really is, because the Hurricanes. And I have no love loss for the Hurricanes, but they don't get dominated like this. It doesn't happen.
No, especially in one period.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm so, playoff time, it's always mixed reaction with me, because I always have that stress in the back of my mind, because I remember one time you talked about the LeBron parallel. It's part of the reason why he demanded a trade and went to Miami in free agency, because he was sick of just, beating his head against the wall with the Cavs all those years. And then he got swept out by the Spurs, and they got beat by the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals that one year, and he didn't have the help. And you have to wonder what Connor's breaking point is. And just as a quick side note to my Mavericks, you had the game. You had the game the other night. You should have won that one. You should have won that one. You can't let a team as good as OKC get up off the mat. So I'm a little stressed in this house right now when it comes to my playoff sports teams here.
At least the Yankees are doing well.
Yes, they are.
They're 5-1 on the Twins right now. So
yeah,
I do have to read this one comment before we talk some baseball. Jersey G checking in. Why must we put perfection? Pizza should be actual pizza. Talking about the deep dish versus New York style.
We might have to implement no kitchen required.
It's true. It's true. We'll have to bring in some pizzas from different places.
Yeah.
And sample them. I will say this: flatbread pizza, it's underrated.
Okay. Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. I'll get with. I'll sanction that with you.
All right. One more topic before we get out of here. We're talking about Major League Baseball real quick, and we have an update for the Backstop Mendoza Line Challenge. Where's that element?
Oh, I've been waiting for this drop.
There we go.
Mendoza!
All right. So Dustin is still in the lead. Martin Maldonado in 25 games, 67 at-bats, hitting a stout 104.
Ooh.
Meanwhile, Christian Betancourt is now creeping up the standings. He was hitting 0-0-0
Yes.
about a month ago. Now he's hitting 132.
Yeah, he got it going a little bit.
Meanwhile, my lone survivor, Luke Mailey, 148. He's hanging in there.
Yeah.
Hanging in there.
He's still got a shot.
So this Backstop Mendoza Line Challenge might go a little bit longer than we think.
It might. I still think it's going to be done by the All-Star break, and we're going to have to come up with a challenge for the second half of the year.
Yeah, for sure. But we got some ramblings here. I want to talk about the Yankees real quick. They've been, they've having themselves some pretty good baseball luck lately. I won't say baseball luck, but they've had some couple series wins. They had a tight series against Tampa Bay again. Winning 2 out of 3 against Houston, which is a good feeling. I was hoping they would sweep them and sweep the series for the entire year. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But the moment, look at the standings, the updated standings. They're currently tied with the Baltimore Orioles for first place in the AL East. And, I kind of figured at this time of the year, if the Yankees were kind of neck and neck with Baltimore, who is the class, I think is still the class of the AL East, based on their system, based on their farm system, based on the talent of the pool of talent they have with their current players. Jackson Holiday got sent back down to Norfolk recently.
Yes.
He'll be back. For Orioles fans, and especially for shout out to our guy Eric Arditi from Barstool Sports, who's friend of the show. I remember when Jackson Holiday got called up. You wrote an article, and I'm trying to remember the exact quote of the title. I think he said Jackson Holiday just got called up, and you're all in really big trouble. Well, if you hit less than 110 games, and he's the one who's trouble. But we're coming into mid-May. Yankees are still up there. Do you think if the Yankees are still hovering around first place by the All-Star break, do they have a chance to win this division?
I think so, yes. Because the pitching has been better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. Okay, I'll just throw it out there. And the reports are that Garrett Cole's looking at June now.
Good.
If Garrett Cole returns and is the ace that we know he can be, that's another bullet in the chamber that they have. As long as the offense can, they're not going to be hot all season. Baseball teams go through their ups and downs. But if they can stay close to Baltimore, I think they have a shot to pull it out at the to ultimately pull this race out. Baltimore is at the point now where they can just kind of, they're good enough where if somebody isn't performing, they can call somebody up from the minors and see if that helps. They have enough talent. They have, after all those years of being a bad team, frankly, but you got to give them credit, because so far it appears that they drafted very well during that time. Because it doesn't matter if you're bad and you get top picks. If you don't draft well, it's not going to work out for you. But they're drafting well. This talent is now all coming to the forefront, and you got Grayson Rodriguez potentially, I think, coming back, because
Jason Rodriguez just started an extended rehab assignment. I was saying extended rehab assignment, but he's assigned. He's let's see, Jason Dominguez.
Jason Dominguez. Yes, I was talking about the Orioles though. Grayson Rodriguez.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. Very similar names. I did want to talk about Jason Dominguez though, because I don't know where they'll put him in the lineup. But I'm very excited about his potential return. He did, I believe, start a rehab assignment, or he will be starting one. Grayson Rodriguez for the Orioles, I believe, is working his way back. He's a very highly regarded prospect. Didn't necessarily blow anyone's socks off last year when he was pitching, but he had moments. And I feel like if the Yankees can just hang in there, they don't have to be leading the Orioles. They don't have to be leading the AL East. But if they are within 1 to 2 games, or maybe 3 games with a couple weeks to go, the Yankees got a real shot to pull this out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm looking at today. Jason Dominguez was assigned to Single A Tampa, and Tommy Canley was transferred to Single A Tampa to Double A Somerset. So he's one step away from coming back to the lineup. So, yeah, it's going to be if Dominguez can get in the lineup, he can be be in that platoon with the third in left field with guys with trying to think of who plays left field right now, but he could certainly be in that mix. You got Soto in right. You got if Judge continues his hot hitting. Giancarlo Stanton is all of a sudden got a hot bat. He had a 3-run homer tonight against the Twins. So he's been having a good plate presence lately, which is awfully surprising to say, considering the last couple of seasons he's been kind of flirting with the Mendoza line himself.
Yeah.
But
this is the type of hitter he is now, though. If he can still put the ball out of the park and he gets on these little hot streaks, the problem is he strikes out so much, and it just we know this streak is coming to an end with Stanton. It's just a matter of when.
He's currently hitting .239 with 9 home runs, 21 RBI. He's got 50 He struck out 50 times. So yeah, it's the one. it's the high risk, high reward with Stanton, and quite frankly, Aaron Judge, who has boasted his batting average over the last, I'd say probably 2 weeks or so. Ever since he got booed at home, he's currently now hitting .237 with 10 home runs and 27 RBI. So he's picked up his game considerably, especially being protected by Juan Soto, who is still hitting a stout .315 with 9 home runs and 34 RBI. I would have to say that he is currently in consideration for American League MVP. If the Yankees don't do something like, I don't know, give him a contract extension by All-Star break or by season's end, and he winds up going to the Dodgers or another team with the Phillies, I'm going to be beside myself twice.
we will be very angry, both of us.
Yeah, it will not be a happy day on No Credentials Required. That's for sure. All right, so I think we're going to end things there. So we want to remind you again before we wrap up here to go to our social media channels. Go follow us on social media: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at NoCredsREQ, Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, YouTube.com/ at NoCredsREQ. Again, thank you for joining us on, if you watch the replay on Rumble, 8 o'clock Eastern Wednesdays. We appreciate you. Also on 502 American Angel Radio. And again, coming soon to Real Wise Radio. Time slot to be determined. But again, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your enemies about this podcast, tell about the show. We would really appreciate it. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, wherever you podcast, rate and review. Give us a 5-star rating. Also leave a review. This is how we get into the podcast stratosphere. If you leave a rating, and also if you're on a platform where you can review, we would really, really, really appreciate it. So you have tuned in to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Media Network. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We're going to be back on Saturday morning for our Saturday brunch, talking more sports and maybe a little pop culture as well. You never know. Saturday morning, 10:05 a.m. Eastern. We might be joined by some special guests as well. But until then, yeah, that's right. Until next time, we will talk to you soon.
Good night, everybody.